everyone, my name is Katie Brock, and my topic of study in the Independent Study and Mentorship Program is zoological medicine. 2 years ago, our teacher, Coach Weissong, asked all of us to pick a quote that would describe what we want our experiences in this program to be like. And for me this year, my quote changed, and it changed according to the fact that I've already affirmed that being a veterinarian is what I want to do. It's just about going out there and accomplishing that dream. So my quote is by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he said, "Dare to live the life you have dreamed for yourself. Go for it and make your dreams come true." I already know what my dreams are. Right now it's just all about having the strength, the patience, and the courage to make them a reality. So as I've said, my topic of study in the Independent Study and Mentorship Program is zoological medicine. Now, what is zoological medicine? It's basically just a fancy term for being a zoo veterinarian. Someone who studies zoological medicine is a doctor who works with free-ranging, captive, and wildlife species. So what do veterinarians do? Well, veterinarians are a lot more like human doctors than you might imagine. Just like doctors, they help prescribe medications, they diagnose and treat diseases and illnesses, they help keep animals healthy by providing preventative care. And this is a lot like us getting vaccinations or shots so that we don't get sick, or by prescribing medication early so that we don't contract an illness in the future. And they also perform surgery and other various medical procedures, including dental exams, so they can also be like dentists. Now, what are the different kinds of veterinarians? When you think of the word veterinarian, you probably think of a conventional small animal vet. And this is the kind of veterinarian that works with your dogs and your cats, but there are many other kinds. One of the first primary ones is called large animal vets. And this is a little bit of a confusing term because it's not just big animals like elephants. It's mainly centralized to animals that are livestock or animals that will live on farms. So large animal veterinarians are the ones that you see journeying to these farms and places where they work with animals for livestock purposes, and they make sure that those animals are being treated in a humane way and that they are healthy. The next type is zoo veterinarian, which is what I hope to do. And zoo vets are the veterinarians that work with your typical lions and tigers and bears. The next is equine veterinarians, and they work with horses. After that, you have exotic veterinarians, and this is another confusing term. This isn't a zoo veterinarian. This is a veterinarian who works with exotic pet animals. So a lot of the times they are combined with small animal practices, and these are the vets that work on iguanas or snakes or chinchillas, the exotic species that you would find in households. And the final kind is a lab animal veterinarian, which a lot of people don't know about. These are the vets who work in institutions like the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, and they work with animals that are in labs and that are being used for testing. And they really bridge the gap between human medicine and animal medicine. So what are the characteristics to be a veterinarian? Veterinarians have a lot of things that they need to have as character traits in order to be successful in their jobs. And some of the primary ones are that they should be able to manage their time wisely. You see this in a normal veterinary clinic because you have appointment times. And veterinarians need to be able to manage all the different clients that are coming in, as well as managing appointments that are going on in the back of the clinic. Then you have to enjoy math and science. Pretty much everything you do as a vet is centered around these two main subject areas. You're doing calculations to determine dosages for drugs, which is a lot of math. For the science side, you're doing a lot of biology, chemistry, and anatomy. So if you don't enjoy these two fields, this is probably not the career for you. The next is they need to be able to communicate effectively. Veterinarians, as much as they spend time with animals, they also spend a lot of time with people. So you need to be able to not only communicate one-on-one like with a client, but you also need to be able to do presentations sort of like this, because a lot of veterinarians do speak at certain institutions. I know my mentor, Dr. Bonner, he does a lot of speaking and education work. The next thing they need to be able to do is be able to deal with loss and emotions. Obviously, one of the procedures that vets have to deal with is euthanasias, and that's something that can be very difficult. And also, surgeries don't always go as expected. So when an animal does happen to pass away or has something that could be saddening happening to it, the veterinarian has to be able to deal with that and to be able to communicate with their client and get them through it as well. The next is they should enjoy learning and working hard, because becoming a veterinarian is a very long road. And if you don't enjoy constantly learning new things and being able to work for your goals, you're not going to be able to get through the 8 years that's just the education side of it. And the final things they have to have are good listening skills and being compassionate. Animals obviously don't speak for themselves, so when it comes time to diagnosing illnesses or issues with an animal, you also have to be able to listen to what their either zookeeper or what their mom or dad, which is what a lot of owners call their animals. And you have to be able to listen to what they're telling you in order to get a proper diagnosis and to understand what's actually going on with the animal. Educational requirements. In the United States, becoming a veterinarian undergraduate degree is a 4-year program, and typically something that you do, it's typically 3 to 5 years, and you typically major in fields like animal science, zoology, or for me, I'm doing biomedical science. And after you get your undergraduate, you start applying to veterinary schools. Typically your junior year of your undergraduate education, and a lot of people do not get in their first try. A lot of people don't realize that veterinary school is actually the most difficult professional school to gain admittance into. So if you don't get accepted on your first year, what a lot of people do is they take that off year to practice being maybe a veterinary technician or to work in a animal shelter. They try and get more and more experiences in their field, maybe even get a master's degree so they have something to set them apart the next time that they apply. But once you actually do get admitted into veterinary school, it is also a 4-year professional program. And your first year, you really focus on learning a lot of the course material. Your second year is again that course material, but you go into much more advanced levels. Your third year, you start doing rotations, and that's where you have different assignments, like you might do a few months on clinical pathology, and then you do the next couple of months on pharmacology. You get to learn to all the different sides of the veterinary field so that you have a full rounded concept of veterinary medicine. And in your fourth year, a lot of people do participate in this thing called an externship, and that's where they are going to a location and they are being supervised by someone who's in that field or is already a doctor, and they're really getting that hands-on experience. So for my informational interviews, my first interview was Dr. Bonner, who's my mentor, and I was going to talk about him a little bit later. But my second interview was with Dr. Rebecca Block, and she is the Associate Veterinarian for Fossil Realm Wildlife Center. This is a really interesting interview because Fossil Realm is very different than zoos, because it is a wildlife preserve. And so the animals there are not in exhibits. They have this giant free-ranging pasture where they're allowed to move around in. So the veterinary facility is a lot smaller than you might expect. When I was in there, the whole facility, all 3 buildings of it, are probably less than the size of the room we're in right now. And I thought that was really interesting because a lot of what Dr. Block does is work out in the field. She goes out into the pastures and she goes out and works with the animal in that habitat, and I thought that was really interesting. My next interview was with Dr. Anna Jane Marler, and she's the associate vet for the Fort Worth Zoo, and we talked a lot about just what zoological medicine is. We didn't just talk about it in regards to veterinary medicine. We also discussed how a lot of research is going on right now in the zoological medicine field, trying to bridge the gap between studying diseases in animals and how those can apply to people. So she really opened my eyes to all the different sides that are in this field. My fourth interview was with Dr. Jan Rains, and she is the associate vet at the Dallas Zoo. And we talked a lot about college. We talked about things that I could do now to set me apart in college. We talked about things that I can be doing in my college years to set me apart to be getting accepted into vet school. And she really encouraged me to start doing lab work when I'm in college because that's something that will give me some hands-on experience in research field. And a lot of vet schools really look at research when they make their admittance decisions. And my final interview was with Miss Carrie Slifka, and she's the head nutritionist for the Dallas Zoo. And out of all my 2 years in this program, this is probably one of my absolute favorites because it was really unique. I got to go into the veterinary nutrition center, and I got to see all the different refrigerators where they keep all the meat and fruit. I got to see a gorilla diet being made. So I got to see that gorillas eat very similar to humans. They like sweet potatoes and grapes. And I think it's really funny that a lot of the medical needs of animals are taken care of in their food. Because that is the primary way to prevent an animal from having a disease, to make sure they're healthy with what they're eating. And it's also a way that you can sneak their medications. Gorillas, when it comes time to getting their pills, they like stuffing them inside grapes. So I thought that was really funny. And now I wanted to talk about my amazing mentor, Dr. Chris Bonner. Dr. Bonner got his undergraduate and master's degrees from Harvard University, and he got his VMD, Veterinary Medicinae Doctoris, from UPenn. And this is basically just a college that gives their DVM, their veterinary degree, in Latin. He is also a member of multiple professional organizations such as the American Association of Zoo Veterinarians, the American Association of Wildlife Veterinarians, the American Association of Zoo Veterinarians for Zoos and Aquariums. The list goes on and on and on, and you can see it on my website, which I'll talk about later. I have his full biography if you want to read all 20 or so professional organizations he is part of. And he has also been at the zoo for roughly a year now, a year to 2 years. So I thought this was really interesting because as new as I am to the zoo field, he's pretty new to the Dallas Zoo. So it was really cool that he got to tell me all the different things that he's experiencing through those new and refreshed eyes. And the biggest accomplishment that I think Dr. Bonner has is that he is one of 150 board-certified zoo veterinarians, which means that he took probably the most specific test that you could ever take. There are questions on this test as specific as, what is the anesthetic protocol in this one article, when there are hundreds upon hundreds of articles that are in the literature. And he actually passed this on his first try, which is amazing, and that really just doesn't happen. He has spent about 2 straight years just studying to pass this exam. And this means that he is one of the top professionals in this field, not only in the entire country, but in the entire world. So now I kind of wanted to take this time to talk to you about some of my more entertaining mentor visits and to let you know some of the stuff that I've been doing throughout this year. And the first one was at the Dallas Veterinary Surgical Center, and we did a CAT scan on a red kangaroo. This kangaroo, his name is Redcliffe, and he was exhibiting some seizure-like behavior, some neurotic behavior, and so they thought that he might have a brain tumor. So to handle that, they were trying to get a CAT scan to take a look at his brain to see if there's any foreign bodies inside of it. So what you're seeing right here is Dr. Bonner, who's up in the top right, and he's actually intubating the animal. So what this means is that he is taking a tracheal tube and he's putting it down the trachea so that he'll have a steady flow of oxygen while he's under anesthetics, and also so that Redcliffe will not regurgitate in the airway. It makes it so it's very safe for him to breathe. And in this picture, you can see Redcliffe getting ready for the CAT scan. So you can see all the different nurses and vet technicians that are there at this time that are helping out with this. And if you see the giant circle kind of in the back, that is the actual machine. And unfortunately, Redcliffe actually did pass away a few weeks after we did do this CAT scan. We actually found a tumor in his adrenal gland upon the necropsy, which is something that would not have shown up on the CAT scan, and it's something that wouldn't have shown up until they actually did the dissection. But none of the other kangaroos had anything similar to it, so it was very unexpected. And the next thing I wanted to talk about was one of my favorite mentor visits all year, and that was the elephant exams. I think elephants are some of the most intelligent and entertaining animals that we have in the world of ours. And we did 2 exams on an elephant named Kamba and an elephant named Congo.